Hi, it's Irene's World. It is what it is, and I wonder what it's like in your world, especially in the education world. Now, since the disruption came worldwide, it disrupted every sector of society, everything we've called civil system, including education. And as you're aware of the latest we know is that there are standard operation procedures that have to be put in place before schools are open. Various countries are also balancing out, should we open, shouldn't we? There's an increase. The question is, how do we move forward? The point is, life has to go on, and there's always a solution in everything we think is a crisis or a challenge. Hence, that's why we were trained for critical thinking, a 21st century skill which all of us have been pushed into, and I wonder how you're adopting. We're all stakeholders in this. Number one, we have to accept that there has been a universal disruption. We will never go back to what we had called normal. We're shifting to a new way of doing things, and we should be focusing on a new, better way than where we were to take us forward. Number two, each one of us has to take a personal initiative, because previously we say, oh, it's the government, oh, it's the school, but you, a parent, as an individual and the learner, have to come to the responsibility that one, change has come, two, how do I flow with the change, three, how do we flow as a group in this new change? Number three, what should then be the priority to take us forward? Remember, we are advancing forward. Baby steps, whatever little initiative we have should be taking us forward, but also looking at the bigger picture. Better is what we're working for. For instance, the standard operations will require a school to have not more than 10 pupils, students in a class or an area of learning. Now, if you asked me, we had long gone from the class sizes to let's go for the huge numbers. It will give us high scores at the national exams and hence be ranked as a top school. Who cares if we pack them like sardines? Well, that, I believe, is going to come to an end, unless we don't want to school a generation of learners who are capable to handle the 21st century skills and beyond, the future human resource. The true size numbers in a class are supposed to be 10, 15, 20, 25 max. If a learner is to effectively gain from the instructor, teacher, or educator and have the proper interaction with each child. So you can imagine if you have a class of 120, yes, because that's where the numbers have been hanging, even the dormitories packed. So that disruption has come. How are we going to move forward? Because even post-COVID, are we going to dismantle the 10 sizes and go back to the 120, which was unhealthy? Think about it. We've been giving a disservice to learners. It's been like, who cares? Pack them in. As long as we pump them, they get the high grades. What kind of human resource have we been charting out? They're not machines, but we've gone for the high scores. Every school is opening up because it has the highest score, and so they increase the numbers. It's the last time I checked. 45 schools are up for sale. That says a lot about those who started those schools. Were they in as a business to serve the learner, or was it just a business and to hell with the service we're providing to the client, which is the learner? And of course, the parents and the guardians who have to pay the money. So education itself is going to face the evolution. It is long overdue. We talk about the 21st century skills. Some don't even know them, and yet they're teachers and the ones behind the blackboards or the lecture rooms and the ones starring, or should I say, shaping the minds of the learners. You, a parent, you, a stakeholder, you, a policymaker, you, an educator, you, a teacher, you, an instructor, you too need to have a paradigm shift. Are you willing to unlearn? Are you willing to learn new methods of delivering, instructing, guiding, teaching? The landscape of education itself is going to change. We're going to have an increase in homeschooling, remote learning. Will they be the physical gathering? I believe that traditional will remain. But a better way in which we can massively educate the masses is going to come up. I see international and global collabos. We've always thought collabos are just for music, but now even in instruction, whereby we have a whole global unit of instructors and educators, we're sharing information. I'm already seeing this happening with many people and instructors and educators from different schools now breaking down the barriers of, we've got to compete, we have the highest numbers, and they're saying, oh, how are you doing this? How do we do this? Collabos are going to come in effect The word education is derived from the root word educare, which simply means to draw out latent potential. So it started way back when civilization was, evolving. People would have masters or gurus, those who have experienced the whole life journey, physical, intellectual, spiritual, and they would gather in small groups and nurture children, learners from various stages, preparing them to fit into society. That has since evolved. But somewhere after the Industrial Revolution, humankind seemed to have got stuck in certain parts of the world where education has become just a section to be lived, to hold a category of human beings in a certain lifestyle until they are churned out like a machine and say, stamped, approved, you'd reject. And then we have those disparities coming up in society, and you wonder why. Because even education, as we say, we've made it become a privilege, yet it's something that can be dispensed by anybody, anytime, anywhere. I see the role of parents changing, at least here in Uganda. Let's face it, parents, we were dumping our responsibility to the teachers and educators, dump them off to boarding, we only see them for a short while, and you wonder why we end up having a human resource when it shows up finally in the marketplace or in the work environment. They can't cope because their life was institutionalized, and when they get out, they can't wait to say, hey, we're free. I'll give an example. I studied at Namasagali. For me, it was one of those schools that wasn't traditional in its instruction. This school had everything: a judicial system, a commerce and trade. It was a mini nation. To me, it didn't feel like a prison. It felt like a smaller version of the bigger society. So I had the privilege of studying there and then changing to a typical traditional school, and I felt suffocated. I remember when I joined that school, I won't mention it, I seemed like an alien because everything I was doing, dancing and everything, I was too free for a traditional school, but look how I turned out. I was successful. So I'm grateful that I had a taste of a school that didn't really rigorously follow a traditional system. It was flexible. It was preparing a human resource not only to supply in the market industry, but be able to relate with others, because we were given an environment where you learn how to thrive with others, how you learn to let relationships grow, how you learn how to relate with the opposite sex. Initiative, personal, group, policy, parents, learners, we all have to have a say in this, because whatever we are going to decide on from this point is going to set like a foundation. And if it is crooked, that's the crookedness we're probably going to carry until another universal disruption comes to wake us up and say, shake it up. This is a better direction to go if you're to advance human life massively. What I'm trying to say here for learners, parents, policymakers, brace yourselves for a change when it comes to how we have been carrying out learning in institutions. A new, better way is going to come up. Yes. Will there be challenges? Yes. Change has come. Life is all about change. Life is all about evolution. Let's count ourselves lucky. Our children's children will say, hey, in history in 2020, humanity shifted, and from it, this was born. That's why we're doing this. I even believe travel is going to change soon. We'll be just teleporting. To be honest with ourselves, it's been mechanical. Even the PE is mechanical. The spirituality is mechanical. We've got to flow with life force. How do we put in initiative? And let's make this even a better learning experience for this generation and generations to come. Well, those are Irene's thoughts in the education world. I wonder what it's like in your world and what you're thinking. But in Irene's world, a new, better, different. It is what it is.